Hey everybody, Brian here. In this video I want to show you this car here. This is a 2017. It's a Toyota CHR and this one's a nice one because it's what's called the Sol model. If there is any information you want on this car, 086 843 1945. Brian's my name. Call, text, WhatsApp is probably the quickest way to get information about the car. So if you're considering buying the car and you want to know about financing the car or information about the car itself or trading in your other car, give me a shout and I'll be happy to go through that information. So what we'll do in the video is we'll start off by going for a quick drive in the video, and I'll run through the features on the inside and the outside of the car as well. So in about 10 minutes we'll have a good idea of what the car is in terms of specification. So if you're considering coming to look at this car, you know what you're coming to see beforehand, or if you're just curious about these cars and you're on YouTube, you might find some of the information useful. Anyway, we'll start off by going for a drive in the car. So unlocking the car, I can lock, fold in the wing mirrors, I can unlock, fold the wing mirrors back out. Okay, that's the traditional standard way of doing it, but for most people they'll get this key, leave it in their pocket, and then you'll see these little grooves here on the door. So if you touch, they lock the car. Similarly, if you touch again, not if you touch, if you put your hand down, you'll hear it unlock. So that's how you keylessly access the vehicle. The interior is really nice on these cars. I love the seats because they're so supportive either side. There's great peripheral support. There's like a bucket style on them. They have this kind of quilted finish, which I think looks pretty classy and upmarket. And then it also has this half leather section along here. This is more of a browny kind of colour. Sort of, it's kind of, not sure how I would describe that, but it's a really kind of classy and upmarket looking, with another section along here in grey. Very stylish. I'm not trying to give you a big sales pitch. Well, obviously I am, that's my job, but to be fair, it is actually a nice looking finish. Height adjustable seat, lumbar support then for my lower back, and then the steering wheel is rake reach in and out and up and down as well. This is where the controls are, and again, this kind of contoured finish along the doors is quite nice and, you know, very different than what you'd see in a lot of other cars. Electrics for front and rear windows, fine. Controls for electric mirrors up here, child locks and central locking controlled from that area there. Sitting into the car then, there is a start stop button over here. So again, foot on the brake. So this is an automatic car. Right foot on the brake. Start the car. Oops, try that again. Start the car. Right, so we don't have an engine tone always. So over here, we know the car is ready to go because it says ready in through there. So that means then it's ready for driving. My foot's on the brake. I can take it off for a minute if I want, but to select the gear, foot on the brake, park, reverse, which gives me a camera, neutral, which really is not that useful in one of these kind of cars. It's just for towing and things like that. Drive, and then I have the regen mode back here as well. We'll have a better look at that when we're driving. Before we get going, so controls over here. These are controls for the trip information that's over in through the centre, you know, recent journeys and the mileage of the car. Incidentally, this car has about 87,000 kilometres. Over here, there is a warning if we want to have lane departure, which warns us if we drift out of the lane, speed limiter, and also there's adaptive cruise control. So essentially when you're following the car in front, you can set your speed and then you can ask the car to stay a certain distance, 1, 2, 3 chevrons behind the car in front, like a couple of car lengths basically behind the car in front. If they slow down, you slow down. If they come to a stop, you come to a stop, and if they drive off within, I'd say, about 10 or 15 seconds, you will also re-follow them as well. Very nice for people living in the city. Cruise control is down through here, so you can take your foot off the pedal, and like what we're talking about, that's the cruise control part of the adaptive cruise control, where it's speeding up and slowing down and you're not using your foot on the accelerator on a motorway, which obviously reduces driver fatigue. And then over here, controls for radio and Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff is in through there. And then I'm controlling the trip information, so I'm going to toggle through that real quick just to show you it's on it. Various settings for safety, average speed, there is a G monitor to tell you how hard you're cornering. Why that is on a family car, I have no idea. Average fuel efficiency and all that kind of readout. While we're on the subject of fuel efficiency, we've had quite a few of these through and I've done a lot of driving in them. For someone that's on a motorway a lot, 120 kilometers an hour, they drive hard. I don't think these cars are suitable. My feedback seems to be that it's a little bit better than a petrol car, but not as good as a diesel car for someone that's doing a lot of driving at 120 kilometers an hour. However, I've driven these kind of cars to Sligo and things, you know, different roads where I wouldn't be using the motorway. I'd be doing maybe 100-ish kilometers an hour and sometimes even 80 kilometers an hour in some roads. Excellent fuel efficiency. So that's a car now that will rival a diesel car. So motorways, I think you're going to be up around 7.5 litres, which is, you know, probably 30 something miles per gallon. But once you're at 100 kilometers an hour or less, you're probably sitting in a very comfortable 5.5 litres per 100 kilometers. You know, that's 50-ish miles per gallon, so quite good. And then around town, they tend to be quite good because remember, diesels aren't efficient until they get warm and onto a motorway. Okay, just before we go, armrest is in here, there's drinks holders over here, there's more drinks holders here, there's storage here, there's USB connector down through there, there's dual zone climate control, so different temperatures on each side of the car, front and rear windscreen emisters obviously. In through here, I'm going to leave that on while we're driving, but before, which is an energy monitor, but before we do that, I just want to show you the car will also have navigation built in, and over here then various controls for all the settings that are on the car and how to use it. Actually, I have to say the Toyota system pretty straightforward and easy to use, but as I was saying, I would rather driving just have it on the energy monitor. So the energy monitor is showing you how much charge in the battery, not a lot, and it's going to show you the electric motor, and it's also going to show you the engine, and it'll show you where the power is coming from. At the moment we sit in ready and we're in EV, so if you see this little green one flashing up while we're driving, that means we're in electric mode. So to get going, pull back on that into drive, and that's it. So the whole thing about hybrids is generally that they're really quiet and relaxing. Now again, depends how you drive obviously, but if you drive them in, you know, a nice relaxing fashion, you can see how the energy monitor tells you what's going on. You don't need to know, but it's just nice to watch what's happening. So essentially there's a battery, there's an electric motor, there's a petrol engine. Actually, when they all combine, they give you about 122 brake horsepower. But you don't have to do anything. The car will always decide what the best thing to do is. When it has enough energy and it can drive the car by electric, it'll do that. When it needs energy, it'll use the engine to recharge that battery. One thing I really love about these cars, so like I was saying to you, nice, relaxing, easy to drive, but it's the nimbleness when you actually go to stop and turn them. Unlike a manual car, or even unlike a diesel or petrol automatic car, it's so seamless the way they go from forward to back. It almost feels like you're driving a forklift, like, and I mean in a good way. So it's so easy to change direction in the car. It's a nice smooth kind of transition. I know that sounds like a stupid thing, but it just allows you to do kind of a 3-point turn like that really, really easily and seamlessly. The other thing as well is we said there's a regeneration mode, so I'm driving in G, but if I pull back on the stock, the automatic gear shifter that is, back into B, it's regenerative braking. So when I let off the pedal, it's now slowing down a bit quicker, but what it's doing is essentially it's turning the motor the opposite way, and it's putting energy from the turning wheels back up into the battery. It's cool to use when you're coming up to a junction, because you will garnish extra energy for the battery. You don't have to do it, it's just an additional feature, that's all. But overall, a nice relaxing car. I know, I think this one is quite a nice one to drive. It's in good condition throughout, and it feels like a nice, well looked after car so far. Just what I think of it, actually, this car will also have front parking sensors and also then rear parking sensors as well to go with the camera. So you get the display along through here, but also you get this radar in through here as well. Other nice features then, the headlights will be automatic, so they'll dip when they meet traffic and go into full in a country area. And it also has the self-parking function. If you want to know about the self-parking function, I'm going to do a separate video on it, but essentially what it's doing is allowing you to line up with a space. So just let's have a quick look here. I presume it'll find something here in a sec. It asks you to put the car in reverse, and then the steering wheel basically takes over and actually gets you into the space. Anyway, I'm going to do a separate video on this. Other things then that you might want to know about is, like, actually the design on the car even is really, actually, we'll have a look at the outside in a sec. I really like the design on them. Really, really cool looking. The boot on this car, I have to say, is in nice condition. They don't have any plastics on the inside. It's all material, so it doesn't tend to kind of get scratched and stuff like a lot of normal cars. And, you know, it's reasonably deep, so it's the kind of boot I think you'll be quite happy when it comes to buggies and shopping and things like that. Depending on golf clubs, I'd say that should work, but best to bring your golf clubs if it's something that you want to try. The door handle's hidden up here. Again, a similar sort of style interior with a brown, black, quilted, half leather interior, pockets either side. In terms of the amount of space that's there for a 6-foot person, so the headroom's actually okay. Nice black lining on the roof, which is kind of sporty looking. And then in terms of the legroom, that's quite good as well. I'll be honest, this is quite high. I remember sitting in one of these in 2016 before they actually got into Ireland at a motor show, and just closing that and kind of going, I thought that was really weird, the way that area is black along there. But I have a little 3-year-old and she sat in the back of this and other cars, and it doesn't seem to bother her. But I just thought that was something kind of unusual on them. And there's this really big drinks holder in here as well. And then the design on the outside of the car, it's really super sporty. These are a good looking car and they are aging really well. So they still are a very, very fresh looking car. Probably because even if you walk in to buy a brand new one these days, they've had a minor facelift, but really not much has changed. This spec has the nicer wheels, which fill up the arches a lot more. So they're a nice kind of diamond cut multi-spokes. So you have gloss black spokes and then diamond cut shiny spokes. So they look really nice, but the fact that they're big, 18-inch wheel, they just fill out the arch really nice. And again, from the rear, some of that kind of stuff I was talking about in the door here, that kind of contributes to why the car is sporty looking in the rear. And then they have 2 spoilers, which they look pretty nice, but they're actually practical in the way that they drag air off the back of the car in a really aerodynamic fashion. Anyway, that is our 2017 Toyota CHR. The car will come with a warranty. It's going to be comprehensively serviced. It's going to be NCT tested. If you have a car to trade in, that's fine. If you want to finance the car, that's fine. And like we said, the best way to find information about the car, call, text, WhatsApp Brian 086 843 1945. And Fitzpatrick's Garage, a family-run business in operation for over 70 years. Anyway, hopefully the video has been useful. Hopefully you like the car. Thanks for watching.